let's do a little bookmark haul, and then we'll pick a bookmark for Hopeless. I was sob crying in the middle of the night reading this book, like. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Tori if you're new. We are starting a 24-hour readathon, reading cowboy romance. I just want something that's like a little bit unserious, very romance forward, spicy, like all of those things. And so I figured, why not switch back to some cowboy romance? So we're gonna start off this 24-hour readathon with Hopeless by Elsie Silver. I also have Wild Love, I think, because I'm devastated that I'm finishing the Chestnut Spring series and we need more Elsie Silver. And then we're gonna do a little book shopping trip to Barnes & Noble, and we're gonna pick up Lost and Lassoed. Hopefully they have it. Last time I went, they didn't have any in stock. Literally so rude, but it's going to be a weekend filled with cowboy romance, depending on how quickly we fly through these books, because I do feel like contemporary romance reads so quickly for me. We might add more books to this list. Literally so excited, I can't hold myself back anymore. Okay, we ended sprints and I'm like in the middle of a chapter, so I'm just holding my page. That's why I'm holding my book a little bit weird. But we are 74 pages into Hopeless and I'm having a wonderful time. I was a little nervous coming into this because, a little summary, but not spoilery, this is the last book in the Chestnut Spring series. It's like an interconnected, I would describe them as interconnected standalones because they all follow different couples. And if you did want to go out of order, you could, but there are like cameos of the past characters within these books. So in this one, we're following Bo Eaton, who is held on a pedestal in this like small ranching cowboy town. His family is like very well known. They're ranchers. They have a big farm, but he is in the Secret Service, the Canadian Secret Service. And so he's seen as like, I don't know if he's like a war hero, but he has had multiple like deployments, and he's seen as like a hero, like a military hero in town. But he had a pretty traumatic last deployment, and he comes back and he feels like a very different person, and it's almost like his old life before this last deployment that was really difficult for him. His old life is kind of chafing against him. This town is kind of chafing against him, and when people are coming up to him in town saying like, we're glad you made it back, like blah blah blah, or like poking fun at him about like what happened, he isn't processing it very well. Our girly pop is named Bailey Jansen. She comes from a family with like a bad reputation in town because her brothers and her dad are known to be like drinkers, and her brothers have been arrested multiple times. They just like steal from people. They're just like not great people. She doesn't even like to be around her family. Like she doesn't feel safe around her family. Even her mom like kind of abandoned her to her dad and her brothers because she was like, I've had enough of this. So it's just a whole thing. Bailey is kind of dealing with a lot, and she is working at the Rusty Spur, which shows up throughout this series. She's the bartender, and while Bo is going through this really difficult time in his life, he ends up like coming to the bar. They make acquaintances. She really quickly like snaps him out of like this bad mindset that he's in, and he's at the point where in his PTSD, honestly, where he's not feeling anything at all, and Bailey starts to make him feel purposeful and starts to make him feel something, and he's like finally like a light in the darkness. She's sure her last name has ruined any chance for her in this town, so he offers her his. She's just convinced that this town hates her, everybody hates her, they have a bad impression of her family, and so they hate her even though she hasn't been in on any of the stuff that like her brothers have been doing, whatever. And so there is a fake proposal, like a fake dating, but it's fake engagement trope. It's really fun so far. I was worried because some folks had said this wasn't the strongest book in the series, it wasn't their favorite book in the series. I'm having a great time with it so far, but also I feel like when I do end up switching to contemporary romance, cowboy romance, it's always like a break book for me. It's always so nice to take a break from like world building and from magic systems, like all of that stuff with fantasy. As much as I love it, it's just a little break book, you know what I mean? So it's so easy to just jump into these and hit the ground running and like have a fun, silly, goofy time. I think that we could read a lot of this book tonight. I'm not gonna say finish it because last night I stayed up until 2:30 in the morning playing Stardew because I started a Stardew farm, like restarted a Stardew farm 2 weeks ago, and it has fully consumed my being. So I'm trying not to stay up until 2:30 in the morning tonight. I need to get sleep, but we'll wake up tomorrow and just see, like, I'm gonna read until I fall asleep and then we'll see where we end up with this. I really want a cute bookmark for this book. And I have a bunch of parcels that came in for some hauls that I'm doing. Actually, what am I saying? We're in Bookmas. Let's do a little bookmark haul and then we'll pick a bookmark for Hopeless. Okay, this is the store. It's from Gigi and Bo. I have some other bookmarks from her that I absolutely love, but it's a small business. She's on Etsy and it's a woman-owned business. Oh my God, stop. They're so freaking cute. Oh, look at her little card. It's adorable. First one right off the bat. Cherries are my life. I love them. Oh my God, they're all so cute. I'm so excited. Cherries. This goes pretty well with Hopeless, so I think this is a good option for this book. And the back is the same pattern. The back just has a little Gigi and Bo logo. Then this one's kind of, it's a little witchy, but it's also really girly with the bows and the moons and the crystals and the moths or butterflies. I can't see from here what they are, but how freaking cute is that? That also actually goes pretty well with Hopeless. Then I got a Christmas bookmark because I realized I had some Halloween ones, but I don't have any Christmas. I'm not gonna lie, I actually feel like we need to have a Christmas bookmark because it's Bookmas. We need to celebrate. We've had dinner, we're getting back to reading. They are establishing the terms and conditions of their fake engagement. He's saying, I'll never let myself fall in love. She's saying, when we break up, you have to do something awful. His brow quirks in question. Well, if you dump me, you'll be poor Bo, who got swindled by the trashy Jansen girl. If I break up with you, I'll be the she-devil who hurt poor Bo. But if you do something shitty, everyone will forgive you and I'll still get to walk away with my head held high. Why do you care if you're leaving and never coming back? I'm just so tired of being the bad guy. I'll be the bad guy, he says with a firm nod, not needing to think about it. If this man does something to her, I'm gonna be so upset. Hi besties, same spot, different day. I need to do an update for Hopeless because we read so much of this yesterday. We're now on page 306, we're on chapter 31, so we will be finishing this very soon. I'm on sprints with Bailey right now. I like Bailey and Bo. I like how they're there for each other. I really like how they show up for each other. I like how they understand each other. I think it works really well. I like it a little bit more than the last book with Winter because the way that they showed up for each other, there were some like miscommunications between them. Like this, they fully understand each other. There's no like miscommunication. The only thing that now they're like tiptoeing around is the fact that they are like fake engaged. It's done what it's sort of needed to do for them, but they're like falling for each other, and so now they're like, where is the boundary, where is the line, because their feelings are getting involved. Long story short, I'm really loving this. I don't know if it's going to be a full 5-star or like a 4-star. I don't know where it stands, but it is a very high rating. The spice has me literally drooling. I love it so much. I just don't know how I feel about the like first time trope, and that's in this one. I'm like coincidentally reading a lot of books with this like first time trope. Like Metal Slinger kind of has that too, and that's the one thing I like don't know if I'm super here for, but I do like them together and I think it's really fun. So we're going to finish this and then I will check back in. I've finished our first book of the readathon. The third act breakups, because there are sort of 2 of them, had me in a chokehold. They were so perfect. Their spice was perfect. I loved how in this one we got, well, I guess all of them had a lot of tension all the way through. I just love how Elsie Silver writes tension between her love interests. There was one plot twist in here that I had to put the book down and go for a walk. I think I'm gonna give it 4 stars, only because like enjoyment level could be a 5-star, but I just think this series about like Kate and Willa, and like they're my 5-star, and also Jasper and Sloane, they're my 5-star, and I feel like these two were just slightly less. Like I loved them. I really loved them. I love Beau. I just think he's such a protective, complicated person. I really liked his emotional journey. I think I would have expected a little bit more resistance, but he was just so head over heels for Bailey, and like they did exactly what they needed to do for each other. I think I've said that. I loved this. I can't believe that I'm done with this series now. I feel like I would definitely reread Heartless and Powerless because those two were just chef's kiss. I'm trying to decide what I want to do. I feel like a quippy little one-liner as a review for this book would be really fun on Goodreads, but I'm trying to decide what I want to say about it. So that is hopeless. We are going to switch to Wild Love. We are going to go to Barnes in a little bit, maybe Barnes and Target, just to like see which one has it. But I want to also pick up Lost and Lassoed because I feel like that's a 5-star prediction for me. I feel like it's going to be so good. But this one, I think I need to correct myself a little bit. This isn't necessarily cowboy romance. It's more like small town billionaire single dad romance than it is cowboy, because we did meet Ford Grant in this book, maybe in the other books as well, but in this one I saw Ford Grant because Willa was talking about her brother. Beau was planning to take Bailey to like a club night out as their date night, which was so cute, by the way. Such a freaking cute scene. And when they get home, please, like literally please. But she's like, go talk to my brother, he'll get you into like the VIP section of this club, whatever. And his name is Ford Grant, and he's like a stuck-up, rich, dum-dum head, essentially, which is so funny because Willa is hilarious. Willa being one of my favorite characters from the Chestnut Springs series, the fact that Ford Grant is her brother, I find so interesting. So yeah, when I read that scene, I was like, Ford Grant, and then I had this book right next to me, so I was like, here he is. So I'm really curious to get into this. I feel like, to be fair, I feel like Beau, even though they were on the ranch and they were in Chestnut Springs, it wasn't really a true cowboy romance. Like I feel like Flawless and Heartless were much more cowboy oriented because of what those male main characters like did for their job profession, whereas Beau like hated working the ranch in this book. It was kind of like different, but it was in that setting. I feel like this is small town setting, but it's not really like cowboy. So we are still reading like small town cowboy adjacent romances. Basically, we're just reading Elsie Silver and Lila Sage. That's what it is. Over the 100-page mark in Wild Love. We're on chapter 12, page 112. I wasn't sure if I wanted to do an update at this moment in time for Wild Love, only because I'm really not sure how I'm feeling about it. I'm not sure how I feel about Ford and the relationship that he has with his daughter, and then I'm also not sure about Ford and the relationship that he has with Rosie. I think that Rosie is my character that I'm liking the most, and because it is dual POV and it flips between Ford and Rosie, I like her chapters a little bit more. But I don't know, I feel like Ford is the oddball in this situation because I can't get a read on his personality. He acts like, it's just odd. I'm not sure. I'm just very unsure about it so far. I want to continue reading a little bit more, but I think with Hopeless, it was just, I was sucked in right from the very beginning. Of course, that was a continuation with the series, so I kind of knew the background. I knew what I was getting into, and this is a new series, so it might just be that at play. But I'll be honest, I'm not like dying to like reach for this book, and so I'm kind of thinking maybe we switch to Lost and Lassoed because I've been wanting to read this. Like, Lila Sage is my top tier, and during a 24-hour readathon, I just want books that I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to pick that back up again. Hopeless, I never wanted to put it down. I only put it down last night because it was like 1 in the morning and I needed to go to sleep, and that's what I want with this book. So I'm very excited for Teddy. I think that's the plan, because even just talking about this book like gets me really excited for it, and this one so far hasn't pulled me in. Like, let's just be honest and real. I'm not giving up on it yet, but let's switch to something else and just see if it sparks something in me. We're gonna switch to her. We went to Barnes and we picked her up. I did also pick up Off to the Races by Elsie Silver, because on Sprints we were talking about the Gold Rush Ranch series. Also, these new covers are gorgeous. Sorry, that just got so dark. They are so gorgeous. You can probably see it better like this. This has me excited because I read the back of it. So I will check in hopefully with a little bit of a better update. I am gonna take a shower and like get comfy, and I need to wash my hair desperately. It's like really annoying me. So my next full check-in will probably be tomorrow morning. Good morning, friends. I wanted to do a check-in from Lost and Lassoed, which we started last night. We got to page 206, so we have just a little over 100 pages left, like 120. No, actually like 100 exactly pages left of this. It's hitting so much harder than Wild Love was, if I'm honest. I'm really happy that we made the switch. This is going to be the last day of the 24-hour readathon. It kind of turned into more of just like a weekend readathon, if I'm honest. I have been reading close to like 8 hours a day, so it's kind of like the last 24-hour readathon that I did, where I did 8 hours a day Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I've really been having fun with like this method, because 8 hours is still a lot, but then I also have time to like do a couple other things during the day. Anyways, let's talk about Lost and Lassoed. I have been so excited for this because it has almost a similar premise to Heartless in the Chestnut Spring series, and Cade and Willa were just so good, like literally so good. So we have Teddy Anderson. She is a very confident, spicy, redhead girly pop, and she loves living in Meadowlark. I think that's the name of their town. She's at the point in her life, like, you know when you reach a certain point in your 20s where some of your friends are still single, some of your friends are married, some of your friends are already having kids. Like, everyone's almost at a different point in their life, even though you're all around the same age. It's just like a really weird time, to be honest. And she's kind of feeling like, well, I'm really content and I'm really happy with my life, but also like my life is changing because of my friendships and my relationships and stuff like that. And she's starting to feel, I don't know, like a little bit left behind, I would say. We have Gus Ryder, who is just incredible. This man, he has a lot on his plate. He's taking care of his family's 8,000 acre ranch. He's parenting his little 6-year-old daughter, who is literally so cute. Her name is Riley. She's staying with him for the summer. He's like a single dad, but he's not a single parent. He co-parents with the girl that he had his baby with, and they have a really just like good relationship, but they knew that they didn't want to be together. The mom is like off doing her own thing, and so she's like, can Riley just stay with you entirely for the summer instead of like flipping back and forth and like co-parenting? So Gus is starting to feel really overwhelmed when his little sister's best friend, the woman he can't stand, is not who he had in mind to help him through the situation, but Teddy decides to help and sort of act as like a nanny, I guess, for the summer, so that a little bit of that weight is taken off of his shoulders. I don't know what to call it. It's not enemies to lovers, but it's definitely like a hate to love setup where they just both push each other's buttons, and we don't know the reason why in the beginning. We do get to know why later, and it's it's really good. I would say, like, because there's so many similarities, I don't want to constantly be comparing it to Cade and Willa, but like there's so many similarities. I do think that Cade and Willa are top tier in my book. I would say that Gus and Teddy fall a little bit lower on that, only because they have good banter. They had really good banter in the beginning, but it dies off fairly quickly and it turns into a very sweet and like loving, caring relationship, but they don't keep that tension for very long. And obviously this is a really short book. It's like 305 pages. So it's like we had to break that tension somewhere, but I did wish that it stayed a little bit longer. But all that to say, I'm really loving it. Like, I just think it's so fun. It's so cute. We got to our first spicy scene last night and then we were hit literally right after with like a really, really emotional scene. I was getting whiplash from my emotions. Like, the spicy scene was incredible. And then I was literally bawling my eyes out last night reading this really emotional scene because Teddy is sort of acting like a caretaker for her dad. This really emotional scene just, it got me. I was sob crying and I would have been like filming last night. However, I was reading it at like 2 in the morning. My sleep schedule ever since I've gone on vacation has been so messed up. Things are crazy. Anyways, so we're going to finish this today. I'm actually today filming a Sunday reset, like a Sunday reset, but also just like a monthly reset. Not in this vlog, obviously, but that's going to be a separate little vloggy poo. Once we finished Lost and Lassoed, I did get the audiobook to Off to the Races, A Small Town Enemies to Lovers romance. We talked about this book yesterday. So I got the audiobook for this. I just wanted more Elsie Silver. I don't think I'm gonna return to Wild Love at this moment in time, because I was just getting weird vibes from it, and it might just be that I really want something that's more ranchy, more cowboy, and not billionaire. But also I was thinking about this more with Wild Love. All of the other billionaire romances that I've read have been like dark romance or like mafia romance, because those guys are like very wealthy as well. And I think of like the Twisted series by Anna Huang, where all of those guys are wealthy and hot, and then also like My Dark Romeo. Like, those are the books that I think of when I think of like million or billionaire romance, and those characters, those male characters, are so different from the male lead that's in Wild Love that I think that that's not working for me. Like, I wanted him to be more of like a cocky person, and this is my personal preference because that's how I've experienced other romances of that like male archetype. And that book, where it's like a childhood friend with pining for a really long time, and he just comes off as very like quiet, standoffish, but like sweet and caring. It like wasn't computing in my head, and I think that's why my last update for Wild Love, I just kept saying like I'm so unsure about this, because it was just so different, if that makes any sense. So I think switching to this was a great call. I think we will try to experience Off to the Races. I'm so excited to start this Gold Rush series because I've heard amazing things. I've heard, as with other Elsie Silver series, that the first book isn't the strongest, but I'm someone who, I like to start with the first book. Like, if I go into a series with like the second book that might be a little bit stronger, I know myself and I know I'm not going to want to go back to something that people say is like a weaker book or, you know, whatever. So I'm going to start with the first book and we're going to see how it works for us, and I'm very excited. So those are the updates for now. Really quick, I've only read another like 30 pages, but you know how in cowboy romances they all have their little nicknames for each other? I love that Gus just calls her Teddy Baby. It's just the cutest thing in the whole world. Like, her name is already Teddy, which is so cute. Like, I never thought that I would love the name Teddy for a girl, but like I literally am obsessed with it, and he just calls her Teddy Baby. It's so cute. I'm obsessed. I promise I won't update every 5 seconds. Actually, maybe I will, who knows. They went to go visit, Gus and his daughter went to go visit Teddy and her dad. Teddy's dad used to be a rock star. So he's like, do you wanna go check out my drum kit? To like the daughter, who is so over the moon and so excited. And it's so cute. Teddy and her dad start just like playing like drums and guitar. Gus goes over and takes his daughter's hand and starts like dancing with her. Her delighted giggle was the only thing that sounded better than the music Teddy and Hank were playing. As my daughter and I danced together, I knew this moment would be one of those memories that I thought back on at every big moment in her life. When she got her driver's license, graduated from high school, college, when she got married, if that's what she wanted, I'd put it in the same place as all those other memories I had of Riley, as well as my mom, my dad, my siblings holding it close to me. I think about the time my daughter and I danced together in Teddy Anderson's garage. Shut up. That is the cutest thing I've ever read. I'm not okay. It's me again, I'm not done yet. Teddy is talking about why, unfortunately, having to explain herself to someone in this book, talking about her and Gus. And she says, both of us take care of other people, our families, our friends. You, I'm not gonna tell you who that is. And that makes us the only people who know how to take care of each other. It makes us good for each other. It makes what we're doing worthwhile. The fact that they're bonding over both being caretakers and they both have so much responsibility. I feel like people in this book, like other characters, don't see Teddy, not as like, it's not that they see her as irresponsible, but like she does have a lot of weight on her shoulders taking care of her dad. And then Gus takes care of like the ranch, his daughter, co-parenting, but he also takes care of his whole family and like checking in on them. And that's a lot. I really enjoy that Gus and Teddy can be there for each other, and like for them taking care of each other doesn't feel like more work. It feels like they finally have someone to take care of them when they're taking care of everybody else. And I love that dynamic. I'm gonna stop here because I do have to run to Target to pick up a new very big purchase, but we only have 60 pages left in this. So once the house is clean, once some Christmas decor is up, we will switch back to this. And I'm kind of happy to do that because I'm not ready to be done with this. All of the books in the series are really short. They're like 300 to maybe 350 pages. They're all really short, but I actually love it. Like I love the pacing of these. It always almost leaves me wanting more, but then also I feel like the story is really well told to the point where I don't need anything else. Like I don't feel like I missed anything. And they're just like quick, fun, fast, perfect reads, like perfect palate cleansers if you're looking for a palate cleanser book, or if you just want to fill your December with like the best cowboy romances, just read this series. Okay, we're on chapter 7. We are on page 66 of Off to the Races. They have already said the title of the book, which I think is so funny. I love when it gets like thrown in. And let's give synopsis for this book. So Vaughn is taking over his family's ranch because his grandfather unexpectedly passed away. There's some like scandal with his grandfather and about like the ranch and their horses and stuff, that Vaughn's goal is to like right the ship, basically like take everything over, get rid of the scandal, like put it in the past, stuff like that. But he needs to train this really stubborn racehorse, and so he's hiring for the position. Enter our female lead, Billy. I love Elsie Silver's like names that she gives for her female leads. Like I love the name Billy for a girl. Anyways, Billy is super talented. She's a really good horse trainer, and so he hires her. But right from the very beginning, they have so much banter. Vaughn is thirsty. Like he is just so thirsty. He can't stop thinking about her right from the very beginning, but they're very, very quippy and bantery in a very fun way. I think I don't mind the audiobook, but I will say the audiobook reads much more cheesy, just the way that the narrators are reading the text. Like I would almost prefer to read it in my own head, but right now I'm just playing Stardew and listening to this, and it's really fun to like have on in the background because I feel like this 24-hour readathon, I usually have at least one at least one audiobook, if not more, but I've been doing a lot of eyeball reading lately, so it's really nice to have just like Stardew and just to be listening to this. Maybe if we get to a spicy scene, I might switch to reading it physically, but so far I think it is a strong start. I like Billy's chapters a little bit more because I like the female narrator a little more than I like the male narrator. Just the way that he's reading the character makes him sound more immature and like juvenile than what I'm picturing in my head, because this is like a hot, rich, 6'3", dark-haired, in a suit like man, and I'm like, I just don't, in my head, like he doesn't sound like that, you know what I mean? So book is great, audiobook so far. I'm gonna get back to it. I just wanted to give that like first impression because I'm having a really great time. She's staying in like one of these cabins at the ranch, obviously, to train the horse. Also, the horse is like beautiful. It's like this black horse who everyone thinks is really like stubborn and mean, but really he's just scared, and Billy picks up on it right away, and she's like, I just need this horse to trust me and like everything's gonna be fine. And so she's like being really sweet with the horse. I can't wait. I want to get more Billy and this horse, to be honest. I hope that she renames the horse as well, because it's like Double Diablo or something is its name, and it's not fitting. And she's like, this name is awful. This name is probably why this horse hates everybody. And I couldn't agree more. So back to what I was saying. She's staying in this cabin on the ranch, and she gets in and it's like absolutely disgusting. And so she's cleaning like dried pee off the bathrooms and stuff like that. Like it's just really gross. And then she has a meeting the next morning with Vaughn, and he's like, are you settling in? And she's like, yeah, thanks for making me clean this like disgusting pigsty. And he's like, I have no idea what she's talking about, but he starts picturing her in a maid costume, and I'm like, sir, focus. You need to focus. You're in a conversation with this girl and you're just like picturing her in a maid's costume. We're now on page 208, chapter 22. So we did get a good amount of this read. It just reads so fast. Like these characters, you just jump right into the story. I think the more I listen to the audiobook, the less it bothered me. I do think I would be a little bit more like into it and connected to it if I like read it with my eyeballs. But what I'm really enjoying, and I'm trying to think if this happened in any of the Chestnut Springs series, but we have a big focus on one of the horses and Billy's relationship with Dee Dee, because like that's her role, that's her job, and so like obviously it makes sense that the horse is like a bigger role. But you would think that in like these cowboy and like ranching type books, a horse might play a bigger role, but I feel like this is the first book where it's really very present and the horse is actually like a character in the book. Love that. I do stick with the sentiment that these characters read a little bit more immature and like young than what they're supposed to be. Like Vaughn is supposed to be 28. And his mom is continuously setting him up on dates with girls. And even Billy, I can't remember if it specifically said her age, but their banter seems a little bit on the young side, even though it is really fun and it adds that tension between the two of them. That's the only thing. We did get a cameo from Violet Eaton, which was really fun. I think I had heard that she shows up in these books, but I had completely forgot about it until her name popped up and her and Billy start to like interact a little bit. We're close to the halfway point. Yeah, we're like pretty close to the halfway point. I am gonna take a break from like listening to this audiobook for the rest of the night, and we're gonna finish Lost and Lassoed, which I only have like 50 or 60 pages left of, so that should be pretty quick. And then I'll switch back to this. Tomorrow we'll do like final update for Lost and Lassoed, and we'll see how far we got and if we were able to actually finish this. Hello besties, we are here to do our final wrap up of these 4 books. This was the weekend of Elsie Silver. Like holding these books up, I was like, oh, 3 of these are Elsie Silver. Why didn't I realize that before right now? I need to find more cowboy romance authors, so I think that's going to be on my to-do list today. But we were able to finish our final 2 books. I think we did pretty good for this 24-hour readathon, as relaxed and chill as it was. So we finished Lost and Lassoed last night. I think I'm giving this 4 stars. I did really enjoy the romance. Like, it was so sweet. Again, I just wish it was like a little bit more bantery, but I liked where it went with these two just like caring for each other and taking care of each other. It was so freaking cute. The ending too, like, really got me. There were some points in this book, like Teddy's relationship with her dad really hit me quite hard as someone who's also like very close with her dad. I was sob crying in the middle of the night reading this book. Like, usually books that make me cry, I would say are 5 stars because like it made me feel a lot of feels, but I don't know, something about this, it just feels more, we'll call it a 4.5. Let's just be, it's a 4.5. The ending with the flowers and the way that Gus said what he needed to say, oh my gosh, I was so unwell. It's so freaking cute. I really love this. Lila Sage is still my queen. And then this audiobook just makes me laugh, to be honest. Off to the Races by Elsie Silver. I think this is like a 3-star, probably closer to like a 2.5. I could have done honestly without finishing it, but I was like, we're here, it's a 24-hour readathon, like I'm just going to finish it at this point. It really wasn't my favorite. My favorite part of this whole book was the horse. And I know that sounds so dumb. The horse and the spice, like I did like the spicy scenes, but I love the horse so much. I liked that it was such a forefront topic in this cowboy romance, but I don't think that in any sense of the word Vaughn gives cowboy. Billy is the cowboy in this. Like, she is the trainer, she is incredible, and I do really like Billy. I just didn't love Vaughn as like a male love interest. I think that was the biggest hindrance for me, and then they both acted quite immature in their relationship with each other, so I was like, meh. Not the biggest fan of your like relationship as a whole, but you do have some pretty good spice, and I am here for the horses. So also Vaughn at one point towards the end calls her a horse girl, and I was like, don't do that to her. We'll just round up and call it a 3-star because in my heart I feel awful giving Elsie Silver a 2.5. like that doesn't feel right, but I am excited to read more in the series because I've heard that in true Elsie Silver fashion, the first book in the series like isn't the strongest, and so I would be curious to continue. Also, just having these covers on my shelf, love. Like, I love this style of cover. That's the thoughts. Let me add up our total pages. So we read a total of 3.25 books. We read 1,310 pages. I am counting the 112 pages that we read of Wild Love because although we didn't finish it in this vlog, I'm curious if I like go back to it at a different time, if I'll have better luck with it. I just think I brought my own billionaire preconceived notions to this book, and it wasn't fitting that image that I had in my head, or that like expectation that I had in my head. So that's on me. I think maybe if I go back to it, knowing that this is a billionaire romance that's much more sweet and like childhood love slash pining turned romance, that might help me a little bit. Pretty happy with this. I hope that you enjoyed, friends. If you did, please be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and if you want to let me know that you were here and would like to leave something in the comments, leave a little horse emoji because duh, or a little cowboy emoji because that is also very fitting. I will catch you in the comments and I will see you in my next one. Toodles!